What's going on, guys? So today on this Shoky Probably Not So Quickie, I'm going to take a look at a badass new Master Chief. And it is the 1000 Toys Master Chief Mjolnir Mark V. So this is the Halo version, the original Master Chief. And my patroneers got to see this a long time ago, but that's how far behind I am on doing things, that I did about 10 figures that came after I got this guy. And this was sent to me by Nate Simmons from Nate's Toys and Collectibles. Good buddy. And, you know, this is just a fantastic, fantastic figure. Now, the closest thing I have had to this is the 1000 Toys / Sentinel Rio of Wildfire, which is a very, very similar thing. And this has been in the box since I opened it initially for the patroneers, and I almost forgot what was going on here, but I remember it was super good. So inside, just initially, you can see him here in his cool things, and you can see my nice reflective light. By the way, I'm liking my new desktop tripod. And he comes with a cool plasma sword, even though you couldn't use a sword, if I remember correctly, in Halo 1. It wasn't until Halo 2. You got an AR? Yeah, an AR. And then 2 of the pistols, or magnums. I always forget which ones those are. And then you get a buttload of hands and a really cool Master Chief in original armor. And I really wanted to have this around about the same time I got the Jazzwares version. And so I did get the Jazzwares one, and then this came in like 2 weeks later. So now I can actually look at the difference between a really good Master Chief and the Jazzwares one. Thought I was going to go the other way, didn't you? You were wrong. Now, hopefully, they'll give us a Mark 7, I believe it is. Is that the one from that? I think, yeah. So hopefully they'll give us an upgraded Mark 7 eventually. Now, you can still get this probably in different places. I don't know if Nate can get it for you, but by all means, hit him up on the Facebooks. And I do know BBTS had them. A lot of other places had them. It's not a cheap figure. This is not a toy to give to your kids. This is a premium collectible. Remember that. And does have small parts, and there are a couple big pointy bits. So just remember that this is not a thing for kids. By all means, this is an adult thing, and it is a 1/12 scaled action figure. Means I need to get some cool 1/12 scale stuff to go with him. And with redoing the cave sometime soon, since I'm not sure when this video is going to come out, just think of it that way. I might have to have a cool place for Chiefy to hang out. Or he's going to go in the Halo Tolf. We'll see what happens. Actually, he might make more sense to go with Noble Team, because they left with... Anyways, well, let's turn it around. We're going to do the thing. Chief. Oh my god. Look at that Spartan. Okay, so I've only looked at this under normal round the house lights. In some good focus lights, this thing really stands out. I love the just the green, the nice military olive drab. Just works, and got gunmetal like all over him, like under here and all these little areas. Kind of a black underneath the silver. Look at these tiny little details here, like this little light looking thing. Look at that, a little silver with some metallic blue. And you got these little pouches, which I don't think I ever realized Chief has like little plastic pouches. And then, you know, other little things here. He's got side skirt thingies that move. Look at this, and even more little bits like down here. Silver, metallic blue, gunmetal, darker gunmetal. There's die-cast, like that knee feels die-cast and heavy. Like a lot of the weight he has is just in the legs, and I like that. It means he's really not going to want to topple over. Like the top doesn't feel solid or hollow, but it feels lightweight in comparison. So all his weight is 100% in his legs. You can just feel the heftiness. That's also why this is shinier inside the leg joints. And of course, a lot of ways, Spartan armor reminds me of a Gundam. It is cool. Though it's funny, I say all that, the weight's in the legs. The feet themselves are actually very, very lightweight. So because he is so tall, let's bring this up. And one thing that's ever so slightly controversial, the dome itself is more of a metallic, not a chrome where a lot of other ones tend to go chrome. This appears to be either a gold or a silver under an amber lens, which is fine for me. I like the detail. You do get the little lights there, though they're not really painted. And this is, of course, the Mark V Mjolnir armor, so it looks different. You got some gunmetal inside the side of the helmet there. Matte black here for the hat, so to speak. And no one's going to argue that this was definitely one of the uglier armors, and it definitely got better post Halo, post Halo 1. And like, okay, so let's just talk about basic articulation here. The head is just on a ball joint, but it has a lot of movement in and of itself right here. I love that this one movement blocks out two different lights. That's pretty stupid. I gotta change that up a little bit so I can get some extra lighting down here. There we go. You know, a lot of things are going to change around here. Okay, so I don't think it's a disc hinge at all, but he does have, this is something, a chest crunch. That's something I'm absolutely not used to. And you can tilt the head up, so now he sits a little far forward. Now, one thing that's really interesting about this model is the kind of bug mouth thing here. This was a very insectoid looking armor. And then, of course, that's just something they cleaned up. They made it look a lot neater over time. You got these little thingies back here that have some paint. It's actually, it looks like it's slightly off, but it's actually how it's supposed to be. That's pretty neat. But yeah, this whole movement here where the chest / neck goes down is pretty cool. In and of itself, you do get a butterfly joint. This, okay, so let me mention this again. Okay, so in here is a ball joint inside there. But then you have this big butterfly joint that comes out like that. You can see a lot more back here. Very spherical looking joints. Come out really far. You do need to watch where your bits and pieces are going, because this is plastic, but this is painted. So it's one of those things you gotta be careful of. So here's your ball joint for your actual shoulder, so you can actually see it. There's actually a metal pin there. Gotta love that. Actually pin the shoulder together with something real. And of course, one thing that's great, hinged shoulder armor. That's fantastic. Look at that. Look at that. Gets out of the way. That's something you don't get very often. It's a real hinge, not just pegged at the bottom and the whole thing flexes when it gets in the way of something. That's just excellent. Okay, so we get forearm rotation just below the bicep. Bicep rotation proper up there. I don't think this piece moves. No, I'm just being careful. Okay. Single jointed elbow. That's more than enough. And I think, I could be wrong, I thought there was some supplemental movement with this elbow armor, but I guess not. So that's something. That's really neat. Yeah, I said single, but now no, yeah, it does have a double. Okay. So there's a very minor hinge on the top. And go brunk, and then just a little bit more. That's really cool. Let's see, look here at the wrist. Little silver bit there. Now, I will say, this is the one failing of these 1,000 Toys figures. Instead of a peg, they use a tiny, tiny little ball joint that plugs into a receptacle on the hand. And that is a major failing to me because they pop off so easy. You know, that's a big deal. So the hands are matte black plastic with the hand armor painted on, I believe. Yep, it's not a separate piece. I would have made it a separate piece. Come to the back. I just want to show off the details here on this backpack. This is a non-jetpack, if I remember correctly. Gunmetal underpieces that are definitely separate. Extra little bits there. And then you got these two little panels. Those will be coming off later. But if you look here, if you do an ab crunch, you can see there's some spinal protection. And then even a back brace. I guess technically a belt. So he's got a ridiculous ab crunch. So you can see this. Get all that armor that comes out. So that's on a ball joint with a hinge, from what I can tell. Can't see, but I'm just guessing. And then down here, you just get another ball joint. So you get rotation top, you get rotation in the middle. That's just fantastic. Though, of course, getting everybody to line back up later, kind of a pain in the butt. But he's definitely like Gundams in a lot of ways. And then you have these side skirts, so to speak, that I believe it's got to be swivel. Yeah, so they're swiveling back here. So when his legs want to come up and do things, so we can get him in a John Claude. It's not great because these big ass side pieces are in the way, and those don't get out of the way, unfortunately. And then if you want to kick forward, do a good old Spartan kick. This is Sparta, which he never says, but you know, it'd be cool if he did. There's never like a new Sparta for these guys. You got thigh rotation. Once again, fantastic paint job on the inside. In a way, some of this paint work reminds me of Flame Toys. A lot of these high-end makers really do some cool stuff. So if you just move only the bottom knee armor, it gets you to there. And then also, cover down. So if you're posing, you can do that. It doesn't do it automatically, which is fine, but you got to do it yourself. It almost looks like it should slide in and out, but it doesn't. But if you engage the secondary knee, you get a perfectly natural kickback like that. It is a huge, chunky knee, so that's why you really need, no pun intended, you need that knee guard to be there. And then if you just slide that back up, it's pretty cool. If it was magnetic or something instead of attached, that'd be interesting. And as armor moves, you come down to the ankles, and you get a good ankle rocker. Well, there we go. You can literally see the ball joint like that. You get toe tilt up, but just enough. Big old bottoms of the feet. Thank God it only tilts up, because who the hell needs it to tilt down? That's a stupid thing. I'm going to give rotation, but I think, yeah, it is rotating up here. So you do get ankle rotation that way. So all of that means a good old Chiefy can stand and get him in a good dynamic pose. I'm sure if you got him on a stand of some sort, you could definitely get him in a running pose with the gun, but you can get a good staggered stepping stance like that, and he could stand up pretty good. Look at him. But he's got a ton of accessories, so let's start looking at those. Okay, so being one of these figures, he has a buttload of hands. He's got left and right karate chopping hands, left and right gun holding triggery hands, left and right kind of relaxed hands, probably for holding the end of a gun, and then left and right sword holding hands. Yay. So let's see a lot of these in action. Alright, so I've got one of the gun holding hands here and a karate chopping hand over here. Now, one thing I did point out, or I said, or spoke about, I should say. So the fist hands come off fairly easy. They're the ones that come on here. Getting a new hand on is slightly difficult because the kind of spherical ball joint here wants to move around as you're plugging a hand on. So, for instance, let me grab here another trigger holding hand, because we're going to look at his guns here in a second. And that was surprisingly difficult. So that's one thing that I believe that other types of toy makers who have surprisingly cheaper things actually have a slight benefit on, where the hands go on a lot easier. This is actually kind of a difficult way to do it, just in the terms that it is a very small connection. So that's a little bit crazy. So as it goes, I'm going to go with the two trigger hands, because we're going to look at his two guns. And I did specifically mean these. And I think these are just the old school regular pistol. These are not the Magnum. Though one thing that's slightly disappointing is the clip doesn't come out, but nice gunmetal, and then just darker gunmetal, or slightly metallic black, but they're exactly the same mold. It's focusing on my finger instead of the gun. So those are really, really nicely done. I give them a lot of credit for that. Look at that. Or these are Magnum, and I'm an idiot. I always forget. Is there a slight mold issue right here? Yeah, look, right here. A little bit of paint, a little bit of mold issue right there. So let's see if we can get these in his hands. And to just kind of actually put this on camera, we'll see how easy or difficult it is to get one of these guns in his hands. Okay, so that was surprisingly easy. I'm not going to lie. Because if I remember correctly, like even when I played with it before, and when it was fresh out of the box, my patrons got to see that. I don't think I actually put these pistols in his hands. I do believe I only went with his assault rifle. Though I want to be careful because this is a super thin piece of plastic and I don't want to pop that or break it. So getting that past the thumb is not easy. Hold on. Let's go this way. Oh, see, look. That's my worry about that. Let's get his feet planted. Alright, so let's go this way. Make my life easier. Okay, so he can dual wield the pistols, which is cool. Maybe this is the pistol. This is like the legendary pistol. The one headshot kill pistol. Not the Magnum. I'm going to be honest, I always forget. And I never notice the difference. I just know that I have one or the other. Here in this case, we have dose. I don't know, I might have given him both guns. But that looks cool. You got the gunslinger. Stick it out to the side like that. Chief, looky Lou, like, what's over there that I gotta kill? Kill them fools in both directions. Or one for each of you, as it may be. But that's not the only thing you can do with the pistols, because you get these little thingies. You go, what? What are those? Okay, so let's show what those are. So you've got these little itty bitty side panels right here, and they are the bane of your existence. The main reason I say that is because they peg in, and then they fly away. So, very much so, keep a handle on those. And then you get these peg dealies, which can go right up in there. And get one for each side, and since we have both pistols out, we'll do that. Those are not magnetic, they are just kind of tabbed in. Though I really wish they were magnetic. And we'll set these things here. And then we need to get the pistols out of his hands. We'll see how easy or difficult that might be. Well, the whole hand comes off, so be with it as you may. Okay, so let's just remove the hand entirely, because we'll come back to that later. Do the same thing in this one. Actually, this hand I want to stay on so we can look at his other gun. So turn out, pull up, and then the whole hand comes off. Okay. So once again, that is a major issue that I believe this is a 1,000 Toys / Sentinel issue, because I kind of lumped them together since they both do the same thing or they do work together. Okay, so as for the pistol, if I remember correctly, and that's a pretty big if because I haven't messed with it in a little bit. So you want that to be like that, and then you want to clip it in like so. Yeah. So I had it flat. It needs to be forward, very RoboCop-like. Then you just snag it in right there. So he did run around with the pistol mounted to his leg. This is the best way to do it otherwise. I do love that that is how it does it, although what my main wish is that these would stick to the side of that, because now I've got two little green parts floating about and nowhere to put them. So that's that for his pistols, but I'm going to go ahead and put this kind of cradling hand on here as best I can. So it's on, but it never feels like it's on. And we'll look at his AR. Now, of course, unlike actual guns, this AR does mean assault rifle. So this is the assault rifle, not the battle rifle. Though I am a BR fan. I love me some SWAT. I love SWAT. It's a great game. And of course, this is with a kind of brownish metallic and then a gunmetal. And then a little bit of just black plastic here for this peg. And then what I was asking for on the other Chief, nice metallic blue there for the readout. Wish it had a tiny number. It does have a stock here, but I don't believe it extends. It looks like it should. Hey, you see that? I mean, it looks like a little butt stock there. And then you get the front of the thing. What's really funny, I never realized until I got these in hand, like a lot of their ships will look like this. You know? Some of their frigates and stuff like that look a lot like this. It's kind of cool. Though, like the barrels there, I guess that's supposed to be like a, I don't know, flashlight or something. I'm not sure. But it's a neat looking gun. And you can, of course, hold it. And let's see. So this is a totally different holding situation. So let's see here. Okay, I knew I was going to knock that off. How best to get this in there? The hard part is usually getting it past the thumb. So let's get it over the thumb. Or around the thumb. There we go. So that's perfect. So the fact that you can just slop it in there is cool, although now you run into this problem. You're now engaging that in a weird way. Like that. Come on, gun. Snap into place. That's cool. You gotta do this the way we have to. There we go. So he can hold that, and of course utilize your wrist there, and of course you gotta have the other hand come across and do the thing. Just knocked off the other pistol. It's gonna keep happening. So he can do the hold of the gun. Let's see here. Let's see if we can tuck it down a little bit better, make my life easy. There we go. Got a little bit of tweakery happening here, but that's good. That's real good. Once again, just gonna tuck that in there. It's fine. It's fine. So I don't think it's like, no, that's just what it is. Just bonk like that, and just try to get it to stay best you can. Don't knock it off, dummy. So there we go. You can hold the assault rifle until you knock it out of his wrist. Oh, it is splitting a little bit. That's interesting. You guys like watching me fumble with things? I bet you do. So let's bring it down. Alright, so after finagling with that for a minute, yeah, the single biggest problem is entirely those wrist joints, because you don't, well, it gets that angle on it. I mean, that is barely, and I mean barely, holding on. And I get that one, but then I have to finagle the other arm over here to do its job without this wrist. And then that gun, like, that takes no effort. So yeah, you're noticing a lot of finagling and a whole lot of small issues. And that's gonna be my criticism of this, to be 100% honest with you. And we're not even close to the end of the review yet. We still got other stuff. So the hands are definitely the worst problem of this entire freaking thing, because it's great. You got movement. They look great until you have to position them, and then you put any kind of tweak on them. So like, this gun is fantastic. It looks great. Smells great. And then you knock it out of the holster. Super easy. And just from what I can tell, that's not supposed to happen. And somebody's listening to the radio really loud outside right now. So there we go. That's that. So the last accessory is, of course, his plasma sword. And this is fantastic. So compared to the old one that I had, this is something totally different. The sculpt is great. Even inside there, you get some molded detail, painted different color. It's translucent that all but glows in these bright lights. And then the lightning effect, that is just sick. It's just really, really cool. And you do get a bespoke hand for that. And because, of course, the Sanghili have a split finger configuration, not just a split jaw, Chief has to hold it in a very strange way for it to work, but that looks super cool. Super cool. So let's try to put that on. As if you haven't seen me finagle with things enough, so let's just pull that off. But because this doesn't require a whole lot of tweaking, it shouldn't be too oddly terrible. Just it's going to be hard to get it on there. See, there's nothing wrong with a post, like a post plugging into a movable wrist. Makes more sense. Son of a bitch. Okay, these are popping off way too easy. It's starting to really bother me. I'm starting to feel like I got it wrong, but I don't think I do, and they're just being problematic. I mean, also I'm handling it quite a lot and trying to get it to stay together. So while you have the sword in his hand, you need somewhere to put the AR, and then you come back to here. And you pull off this panel, like so. Also very hard to get, and I did drop that the very first time I pulled it off. I had to go find it. So be super careful with those. And of course, that means that you make sure I got all the hands. Come back here, and you need to flip that out. Thank God they actually sanded a groove into that, or molded a groove into it, so you can get it out with your finger. And then you just plug it on in. So this guy has a ton of weapon storage. And weapon storage is always good. The only thing you can't store that I can tell is the sword itself. So that's just unfortunate, I guess, is about the only way you can put it. That's just unfortunate. See, like, I would have him basically like this. Oh, that's so good. It's so very good. Okay, so now that it's taken this long to get through this review, let's go ahead and bring out the only comparison that matters, the Jazzwares version. And what's really strange about this, so I talked about how the Jazzwares was kind of big, but now having him standing here, knowing that it's a slightly different scale, he's not that much taller than a 1/12 scale Chief. But as you can see, this definitely sucks. Still, this is a much stupider way to mount the gun to the leg. So, also a huge difference in this Mjolnir armor. So I cannot wait for 1,000 Toys to get this far in the Chief's evolution, or at least into the next level of armor, because Mark V is just so ugly in comparison. It's like a World War II Jeep in comparison to, you know, a Humvee from way later. Also, the colors, much better here. This is too neon, especially under these lights. It's glowing. And without any weathering, there's nothing to compare there to. You know, it's just, it is what it is. This is a better figure in general. This thing has only a couple minor things that are better, and it's like just the way the hands connect, if I'm honest. Slightly better flexibility due to different engineering, but this in general is a much better designed thing. Having all the weight in the legs is really cool, though I think they underscaled his feet, because you got to remember, he's wearing power armor and his feet have to be in there somewhere. This makes it look like he's got some feet inside that armor. This kind of looks like just some bigger sandals. Now, it might just be because it's a much thicker, bigger armor from a later evolution, and then maybe, you know, that's the big deal, and this is actually incredibly accurate, which I'll give him credit, it probably is. So, I mean, just in general, that's really fantastic. Now, for comparison to a different hunter in a suit of armor, these are in the same scale. This is 1/12, that's 1/12. So this is, you don't, this is where, you know, they always say, oh, it's a 6-inch line. No, it's a 1/12 scale. So this is a normal human-ish next to a Spartan. That's how big Spartans are, in case you were wondering. They're huge, but that's also why I say, you know, that's a little off. I mean, even though his skeleton has been enhanced, you know, they're bigger, stronger the armor does still have some effect there. And then compared to even a Power Ranger, you know, you can tell he really towered over them. Or would, I should say. Now, hopefully they'll give us something like the Arbiter or something like that in this line, other than just a Chief. I mean, I'm okay with it. I still appreciate a good Master Chief by all means. But yeah, he's really fantastic. Now, he does run in the, what, $120, $130 range, but for something that's fully articulated, almost completely painted, if there's raw plastic, I don't know what it is. Except, no, even the pouches are ever so slightly weathered, so they're not 100% raw plastic. Accessories that make sense when they work, because obviously these are a little bit lacking. I wish that the covers for the legs and the back were magnetic, because then you could magnetize this piece and have it covered there like it's an actual thing sticking out of the side. But other than that, it is just stupendous. It is a stupendously good figure. And of course, the main issue that you're always going to get with this brand apparently is these wrists, and it's just something they may have to work on. It may be something they never change, but something they should work on for sure, because it's unfortunate this is entirely incredibly well articulated figure gets let down by how the frickin' hands connect. But this is really good. This is really good. I would almost be the kind of dork who would buy an entire red versus blue set if they made it. You know you would too. But guys, that's it for this review. I know it's a little bit long. It's not a quickie. It is what it is. And of course, I will see you next time. Do like and subscribe thing. And remember, as always, keep on nerding.